Elizabeth.
And I'm Vivian.
And welcome to the Entry Level Adulting Podcast,
where we help you to navigate the confusing world of adulting,
one challenge at a time.
Welcome, friend.
Hi, and welcome to Entry Level Adulting Podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth, and I am here with my absolutely amazing, incredible, intelligent, self-sufficient, strong co-host, Vivian.
Thank you. Welcome, friend. And I am here with my lovely co-host, who is spectacular, amazing, awe-inspiring, a kind, warm soul with a lovely voice.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't know how often we can do this. I'm going to run out of adjectives so fast. But we wanted to welcome you to our first season and episode 1. Season 1, episode 1. It's the first one. It's exciting.
You made it.
We did. It was a long journey, but it's good. So episode 1 is going to be focusing on finding your first job. So this is really going to be for people who are in college or graduating high school or a trade school. I think the myth that we're busting today, if you will, I miss Mythbusters, side note, shout out. The myth that we're busting today is you have to have your dream job right away. This is false. This is a bust, guys. This is not true. I would love to meet somebody right now that has their dream job, first job out of school. Like, please.
And if you got it,
great. Amazing. Like, come on, let us know how you did that.
And then tell us the lottery numbers, because
I don't know a single person that now, to be fair, people are doing things that they are really passionate about, particularly, I think, with teachers and nurses. My friends that have become teachers and nurses, a lot of them have wanted to be teachers and nurses from ever since I knew them. But not everybody knows that. Not everybody was 4 years old and realized they were going to be X. And I'm definitely one of those people.
Tell you what I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be a firefighter princess.
Well, yeah, I thought I was going to be a pop star.
At 4, that was what I decided would be the best job.
At 4, I don't even think I knew what the pop part stood for.
I think half America still doesn't know what the pop star stands for. So you're not alone.
So, needless to say, we're not doing that. I, for one, I'm going to be a certified public accountant, a CPA, which, if you had told me that in high school, I would have laughed in your face, run for the hills, and had an entire spiraling crisis of what is my life. So, it's okay. It's okay if you don't know. I think the first tip that really stuck with me when I was thinking about what I was going to study was something my grandma told me. And she told me, do something to feed your face while you figure out what you actually want to do. And I thought that was really good advice, because the hard reality is when you're adulting, you got bills, you got rent, you've got a car, if you're lucky,
a face to feed,
bills to pay. It's yes, you get to be pursuing your dreams and you get to try and figure out how to make those dreams a reality. But there's also really practical, harsh realities as well, and these are the times that we're in. It's not all fun. So what can you do about it? How can you get that first job?
I think the most important thing is to be persistent. Like, it can take time, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure or that you messed up. It just can take time. For me, I was able to get a job offer while I was a student going through my master's. I'm a physician assistant. I'm licensed to practice. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially like someone who you see in a clinic, and we get to manage your care almost like being a doctor. The difference is I didn't have to go through 4 years of medical school. But, in terms of what we're supposed to know and expected to accomplish, it's relatively the same. So that was my experience, though. I was able to get a job while in school. It was not my favorite job. It was not what I envisioned I would be doing when I went to get my master's. But it was important for the time that I have the job. Just like my other friend, it took her 6 months to find the job. And we were told, oh, you will always get a job. You'll always have a job. But no one ever really said, but it could be really hard.
And no one ever really talked about, too, how much of a failure you would feel like in that struggle, because I think a lot of people get really competitive about the process and start comparing, like, especially when you've put in the time, you did all your work, you've studied, you've graduated, and you think, here I am, I'm an educated person, someone to hire me, I'm qualified, quote unquote. Well, what are you actually qualified for? And that's a really good place too, especially if you're still in school, to be thinking about, especially if you don't know what you want to major in, or you're still deciding, is what job do you want outside of school when you're thinking about those majors? Because, and I didn't realize this until I was, in college and looking at Indeed, at LinkedIn, at all those job posting websites that there are, I started looking at those qualifications to jobs that sounded interesting to me. And a lot of times, the jobs that I was interested in required 2 to 3 years experience. Again, that brings us back to, you don't need to have your dream job right away, because your dream job might require years of experience. So how do you go and get that experience? How do you figure out what that first time job is? And I gotta say, my alma mater did an amazing job with career fairs, with student success centers. There were so many resources for us. But, not every college, not every university has as great of a resource center. So sometimes you really got to go hustle. You need to go find where those resources are, because they are definitely out there. Some high schools even have resources like that. And I imagine so do trade schools. So I think, as much as it might kill you to ask for help, there is no shame in it. Go network, right? Career fair.
Yeah, I mean, your mom's friend. It does
The
not
mom
matter.
network. The mom network is real.
Do not downplay that mom network. Let me tell you, no one has your back like mom. Okay? Don't no one care when you cry as much as she cares.
Oh my gosh. My mom's gonna listen to this and howl. Oh my gosh.
But, like, Elizabeth is right. Being able to network, even if it's your peers, your professors, the people around you, ask or reach out to people in the field that you want to do and say, how did you get from A to B? What should I be doing? And don't let, just because you may not have the experience, that stop you from applying to the job. The worst they can say to you is no, right? Move on then, on to the next one.
Yes.
And don't get discouraged by it.
A no is not the end of the world. Vivian and I, we both have our face, and we firmly believe that, when one door shuts, you're not supposed to go through that door, and you don't know what the reason for that is at that time. And it doesn't make it really feel that much better. But in the hindsight, I think it's a lot easier to appreciate that, oh yeah, I'm really glad they didn't call me back, or they didn't message me.
Or it just might not be then, right?
True.
It may be in the future that you have that, and the experiences from the other positions that you have to get taking the job that you're like, I don't know. I don't love their snacks type of situation. Whatever.
They don't have the best
you...
swag at the career fair. Like,
right? Like, do you want the check or not? And the experience, right? Even if you had to just type in X and Z all day, you can put that on your resume to move on to what you actually want to do and open up more opportunities for networking and being able to talk to other people about how to navigate this career field that you decided you want to be in.
Exactly. And, you might want to switch out of it at some point, but that doesn't mean your whole experience was useless. These are tools in your tool belt that you are accumulating to prepare you for what's next. And that validates, all experiences are valid to getting to you to where you want to be. And I think Vivian was absolutely right. Go and pursue your connections, your network. See what mom's friend has to say. Shameless. You want to get that first job. And again, it doesn't have to be what you immediately envision yourself doing.
Right. Because it's the likelihood that you're going to do it for the next 10 years is pretty low, especially given our generation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great point, actually.
Even if you stayed in the same company, the likelihood that you'd be doing the exact same thing is really low. There's always room for lateral movement. But in that, I do want to talk about I feel like a lot of people I've talked to have been really unprepared for the interview when they got it, which can be kind of confusing to me personally because they knew they had the interview.
Mm.
So if I could impart anything on anyone who's listening, please practice interviewing before you show up for the interview. Okay? You're going to be the most nervous you will ever be for the interview the day of. Practice. That way your words don't come fumbling out of your mouth and you're able to clearly articulate what you want to convey. Right? I know a lot of times like, oh, titles, label, image, dress and show up like you want the job, even if you don't.
It's true. It's true because that you have no idea who knows who and when your attitude and your impressions are going to get back and circle back and come up. You know, I've had there's so many examples I can give, but you have no idea who knows who or what your network will be. So why burn a bridge when you could make another connection? You know, interviews don't have to be just that one time thing. You know, you could stay in touch with your interviewer because a lot of times, at least in the business world, I'm not sure how it is for the medical world, but a lot of times in business, the people interviewing you are actually people that already work for the company. And so those could be your future colleagues. And if you make a really great connection with them and make a great impression, that really helps your hiring chances. So I know it might be a little bit different for medical. So do you want to touch on that?
You know, it pretty much the same. A lot of the people that they try and get to do the interviews or reach out in terms of setting up an interview are people who are presently either working in the field or worked in the field. Right. And that can be a great thing. I know that I was doing an interview. It was for a trauma center. And he was like, you know, I have this other opportunity that you might also be interested in. Do you want me to set up an interview for that also? I didn't apply to that job, but I said yes. Because hello, easier for me, right? So you don't know what can happen while you're interviewing. So again, practice as much as you can. Google the questions that you use Google for literally everything else. Google the questions. What interview questions should I know for that? Input whatever field. Plumbing, accounting, modeling, whatever you want it to be. Just Google it. That way you have a better frame of reference.
And you never know to just what is going to be thrown at you in an interview. So really be focusing on your soft skills, just a conversation that might be happening between you and the interviewer. Because I mean, for my very first interview it wasn't even for a job. It was actually for an externship, which if people don't know, an externship is a 1 to 3 day experience in the public accounting world that basically is an interview for your internship the following summer because they recruit very heavily. But anyway, so it was my very first interview ever in college. And the very first question, I don't even think I had sat down in the room, the guy asked me was, how was Madrid? Which had nothing to do with anything. I had studying abroad on my resume and he was reading my resume and he essentially just picked that up right away to start the conversation. And I think also ease me into the process. So you never know what kind of interviewer you're going to get, but if you can make a personal connection, be prepared for a little bit of small talk because what they're really trying to do is get to know you, get to know your personality, and see if it's a good fit for them and their company and their company culture. And I think that's true regardless of what industry you're going into.
For sure. I completely agree. Like even for one of mine, I know they had asked me, like, oh, well, like, how'd you learn to speak Spanish? And that is not what I thought we were going to talk about at first, right? So then we went into like my ethnicity and all this stuff, and that my parents speak Spanish, and it's just not what I was expecting in terms of the start. One of the other things I think is super important, though, is dressing professionally for your interview. Dress for the field that you work in. If not slightly better, you are on display. They're going to be critiquing you on what you say, on how you look. I'm not saying you have to dress like you're in a ball gown. And I'm not saying if you're a lifeguard that you should show up in just your swim shorts or something. But, you know, do try and dress up a little more than you normally would. You are presenting yourself and you want to present the best aspects of yourself. And sometimes when you're not dressed appropriately or you look a little bit more disheveled, that can be distracting for the interviewer. As someone who has interviewed people, you start to wonder, well, what happened to you? Are you okay? And my brain just kind of like goes off into all these other sub things like, why are you like this? Did you not know you were coming today?
Are you taking this seriously? So, is this important to you? I think that's really what. Dress as if this interview is important to you. Don't dress like you just woke up and, you had to walk all the way across campus or like drive hours and hours to get there. All of that will probably be true. But you have to show them that you care and that you will show up on time, that you are a good worker, and that you really are putting in the effort. Again, as Vivian said earlier, even if you don't want the job. Because honestly, sometimes, and this has happened to multiple people that I know, sometimes that's the only job offer you get back. As much as that is unbelievably gut-wrenching, sometimes that's the only offer you get. And so every single one matters because, once again, back to our myth, you may not get that dream job right away. And that is okay. But that means you need to figure out what you're going to do in the meantime and how you're going to work to get that job.
Each one is a stepping stone.
Another point I wanted to touch on too, and I can't believe we haven't really brought it up yet, is your resume. I mean, that is really your professional calling card. A lot of times that's what gets you the interview. Like before you even get to the interview, you have to have a killer resume to get them to even want to see you. And that is honestly, it's not easy. I know there are people who literally edit resumes for a living. So we could probably do a whole nother episode on that. But
the resume, the cover letter, I feel like the cover letter is what trips a lot of people up. I do know that it's starting to phase out. So if you don't necessarily see that it's required, don't sweat it. But like Elizabeth said, your resume is your calling card. Put your email, put your phone number, make sure that you went through for the typos, make sure it's easy to read. No one's trying to go through a 5-page leaflet.
No.
Okay?
One page.
Knock it off.
One page.
One page.
For goodness sake, save it as a PDF, guys. It is a PDF form. If you save it as a Word doc, all of your formatting gets to crazy land, and then when the person opens it up, it looks a mess. They can't read it. And also someone can edit that and change it. A PDF saves it as it looks. Save it as a PDF.
Mm-hmm. And update it regularly.
Yes. Honestly, unless it's super relevant to your job, I wouldn't have experience more than 5 years old on there.
Yeah, no one wants to know about that one time you were 10 and worked your own lemonade stand.
They don't need that information.
Okay.
And you can tailor it to each job. So if you have experience that is more relevant for one job you're applying to versus another, change it. Make specific resumes for specific people. But before you send it, make sure you're sending the right one to the right person.
It's very awkward if not.
Don't do it.
Right? Mine is my first name, my last name, the month that I edited it, that way I knew how old it was, and then for what field. Because, right, like Elizabeth said, for me, for example, right, if I was applying for like a job in pediatrics, I'm going to write all my pediatric experience, how many times I've worked with kids, what procedures I've done with kids. That is not the same thing I'd put if I was working or trying to apply to a geriatric job. Completely different fields. But both things that I have experience in. So curtailing what you know and that internship in one place where you study that one thing that's super specific, put that, embellish that, put it in bold. I don't care. As long as it's on one page. But make sure that you get rid of that if there's something else that's completely irrelevant to or not as important for.
Your resume is that calling card. That's what got you the interview. There are great forums that you can and resources that you can use to create professional looking resumes. There's templates all over. Again, Google. Guys, it's your friend. It was your friend all through school. Why stop? Why stop using it? Google professional resumes for your industry as well. Because that's the other thing.
Yes.
Canva is a great resource to create a really interesting looking resume. But once again, I know for a fact there's some of my more artistic friends, like graphic design, for example, where you want to have a very artistic looking resume. Well, that's going to be a little bit different if you're in my line of work and you're applying for, say, accounting. It looks different. It does vary from industry to industry what's appropriate.
And know what you put on it, okay? Don't, when you go to your interview, read the one, bring some copies, give it out like free gifts.
Essentially, what you need to do is memorize everything you have on your resume that's important and work it into your answers in the interview. Highlight those things on your resume on why you are qualified for this job, what your experience is, and basically make sure you highlight and hit on all of those key points that got you the interview in the first place. So that is like interview prep number 1. Is just knowing what's on your resume, because that's what got you in the door. And so now what you really need to do is prove to them that you can articulate that and bring it to the workplace.
I say the other part for preparing for your interview is to clean up your social media. If you're a hot mess on it, put everything on private. Just make it private.
It's your friend, okay? Your interview, maybe, listen, I can't speak for every job ever, because, a lot of people, they were in college, they were in school, they get it. But I will say this, your future coworkers and colleagues are going to see you at that frat party. They're going to see all those pics of you at the beach with your butt hanging out. Is that really the professional image you want to project? Is that what you want to be in their minds when they meet you for the first time? It's not really about judging. It's about presence. It's about your brand. It's your personal brand. I hate to bring into that buzzword, but it's true, guys. You want people to...
You want them to see the best that you have to offer up front and not be distracted by anything else that could be going on, right? And just putting it on private until you have a job, or maybe just putting things somewhere else until later, isn't a horrible idea. Again, you want nothing to distract from what you have to offer and what you can present. And I know you can say, oh, well, I don't want to work there anyway, or whatever. Yeah, but you poor. So
guys, you want that job. Even if you don't want that job, you want that job. Because you have no idea where life is going to take you. Or the next job. Or the next one. And guys, people do look, okay? I was at an internship with a company, and I was on this team, and the new staffing assignments just came out. So it was like the new people that were just going to join the team. And they turned to me and said, stalk them, Google them, find out who these new people are that are joining our team. And I did. One of my... I don't know if I should be telling this story, but I did. I creeped on every single new person that was going to be joining this team, and we looked at their social medias, we looked at their LinkedIns, we looked at all their profiles. Guys, people look. They look. And the people that were on private were the smart ones.
Yeah, you have a cute little profile picture. Look at her with the bunny. That's nice.
Then we creeped on some other people, and we learned a whole lot more about their lives.
Baby mama drama. Grandma's drama, Mima's drama, everything. Just the whole family laundry out to dry.
You don't need that, guys. You don't. Private your Finstas, everything. Just private. Just private.
Not even yours. Sometimes your friends putting some nonsense up there for you.
Untag.
Put it on private.
In everything, guys. You can... Social media is real. You can figure out so much about people. Just keep it private. And update your LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah, that is important. Yeah, the important parts are on there. In closing, I just want to say, real quick, try, friend. Try. Get out there and try. You apply for that job. You put in that effort. You act like you want each job, even if after the interview, it's a solid no. Because, like we said before, it may be the only one for a while. So just try and Google it.
Try and Google it.
Okay? Try and Google it.
That's the best ending.
Right there.
If you take nothing else from this, try and Google it.
And that's our show for today.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on our next podcast.
We hope you continue to face adulthood head on. We've got this.
Follow us at Entry Level Adulting on Instagram, intro and outro music by @DQ_on Twitch.
Bye, friend.